I'm delighted to introduce to you a candidate for sheriff of Hinds County, Miss Beverly Harris Williams.
That's right.
Welcome, Miss Harris Williams.
Thank you.
The first question that the League of Women Voters would like to pose to you is this. What is your experience and your education that prepares you to be sheriff of Hinds County?
Thank you. Good question. And thank you for asking. I am a graduate. My formal education, I have a BS in criminal justice, a master's in education. I have 31 years of law enforcement experience. My law enforcement experience started with Jackson Police Department, where I served as a supervisor, where I trained policemen. My later years, I joined the FBI, making history for the state of Mississippi, becoming the first African American first African American FBI agent ever assigned to the state of Mississippi. I went on from there and became the first female to lead the FBI police in Washington, D.C. I have 30, like I said, I have 31 years of law enforcement. I retired from the FBI as a supervisory special agent. Okay, I have led numerous organizations. I'm a military veteran. I supervise operations unit in the U.S. Army, both active and reserve, stationed here in the United States and in Germany. So I bring a wide range of experience, not just policing on the local, but policing on the federal level as well.
I understand. Thank you for that information. That's going to be very important to our voters.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Now, the Hinds County Detention Center is under a U.S. Department of Justice consent decree, as you know,
Yes, ma'am.
demanding improvements at the detention center. Specifically, what are your some intentions or plans about addressing the consent decree?
First of all, I will look at the consent decree brought by the Department of Justice Special Litigation Unit. I have worked closely with the Department of Justice, being that as a former civil rights investigator, a lot of the pattern and practices brought about similar to that. I was the investigator. So I have firsthand knowledge of those criteria. I have read the consent decree. I understand that we will have to chop away at each one of those items that they say are violations. I will work closely with the Department of Justice. We will, those low-hanging fruits that we can do, such as training our detention officers, we can do that. But the bigger issue is trying to get the bottleneck. It's not just the physical plant, the detention center needs attention. Our detention center needs to be rebuilt. I will work with the Hinds County supervisors and our legislatures as it relates trying to get a state-of-the-art detention center that will house the number of people that we need. Secondly, as it relates to that, I will work with the court system, the DA, the public defender, and mental health as it relates to moving our detainees through the system. Right now, one of the biggest violations is people are being held in excess of 2 or 3 years without even going to court. Okay, so in order for this to happen, everything has to flow. The court system, the mental health unit has to work. The DA has to work. So, and also the state crime lab is backed up 2.5 years. So even if we had a new detention center and we were we wouldn't be from under the consent decree because the length of time that we hold prisoners. Let me
I
just
understand, and having done some volunteer work with the sheriff's department, I'm very aware of those issues, and thank you for your thoughts about how to deal with that. Now, I see in your background that you've even in Jackson, you've had experience recruiting, training, and retaining officers.
yes.
And what would be your plan as sheriff to recruit people, to train them, and then to retain them?
Very good question, and that's one of the biggest problems that we share in law enforcement. Not only was I a recruiter and trainer with JPD, I was also a recruiter and trainer for the FBI. Did it for 20 plus years, recruiting people. So let's talk about that. It's not just the pay. Of course, people want to be adequately compensated. But one of the biggest problems that I have read about as it relates to Hinds County is the morale issues, the inequities in people being allowed to promote, to compete for promotion. So I would look at the promotional system. I would establish a career path where people can see themselves progressing 2 years, 3 years. I would also, of course, try to get them additional money. That is necessary. But the most important thing is getting them training, getting them the equipment they need, getting the manpower which is needed so they can have a safe environment. And in
We
order
need
to
to move
do,
on, but what,
okay,
just briefly, what could you say about retention then of
retention, that goes back into people feeling that they're people feeling appreciated, the fact that they have equitable training, the fact that they're able to compete and see some growth potential. And right now they don't see that. And as your sheriff, that's one of my responsibility to ensure that morale issue and people feel that they're appreciated. And not only said that we say that, but we train them and we pay them.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Now, what are your strategies? What are your some specific ideas for crime prevention to make Hinds County safer?
That's $1 million question. Okay.
Have you got a
So
$1 million answer?
just a half of a
All
million.
right.
Anyway, but what we would do, we have to go back to faith-based organizations, working with the churches, working with the non-governmental agencies, mental health. We got to get, even though now we can put everybody in jail, that would not solve our problems unless we change the culture within Hinds County where individuals who come here and commit crimes are not allowed to do that and walk away. It will continue. We got to educate our people, the citizens. We have to say enough is enough. We have to educate these parents with these kids to tell the parents you're responsible for your kids and you will be held accountable. We cannot continue to let little things fester in this city. That's why we have bigger issues, because the little things have been unaddressed. We will address the crime which is on the books. We do not need new criminal law. We need to enforce the laws that we have and hold everyone accountable.
Thank
And
you.
also, I will partner with our federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to get their help, to get their buy-in.
That's
Thank you.
kind of the next question then,
Oh,
is as as you're well aware, law enforcement in Hinds County consists of the sheriff's office plus police departments of 6 municipalities. And how do you see all these agencies working together to be more effective?
I think it will work. What it is, and that's another attribute I bring to the table. I worked in the director's office of law enforcement coordination. I work with all the law enforcement agencies, sheriff, IACP. So I bring that networking skill to the table. The fact of bringing them all to the table, we all outlining what our issues are and seeing how we can combine our efforts to control it. Because you think about it now, each one of these municipalities are next door to Jackson. So what happens in Jackson happens in the other communities. So we will join our resources. We will collaborate. We will bring about intelligence. We will gather intelligence from each one of these agencies and see how we all can work together to strategize to solve some of these issues. And you will be surprised at what one agency may have resources that another one does not have. You look at the rural, many of them do not have manpower. Well, Hinds County has manpower, and as sheriff, we're going to have additional manpower to augment these smaller departments.
Well, thank you. And that's the end of our time.
Oh,
But
really?
I know it went fast, didn't it?
You have to excuse me. I am very passionate about this
No,
job.
that comes
I,
through. And
I'm sorry.
is is there any further brief comment that you want
Yes,
to say about your candidacy?
yes, ma'am.
Why should people vote for you on November 2nd?
Because I am the most qualified candidate. I bring integrity, I bring leadership, and I bring transparency. And the citizens of Hinds County deserve better. They deserve to have a sheriff who's trained, who's knowledgeable, and who is a true leader. And I'm vested. My family is here. I grew up in Hinds County, and I just want to give back some of the training and experience I have obtained from the FBI. Please vote November the 2nd, Beverly Harris Williams as your next Hinds County Sheriff. And let's break this glass ceiling. This will be an historical event for Mississippi, for Hinds County, to elect its first female sheriff county, the sheriff of Hinds County. Not just a female, but an experienced female. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being with the League of Women Voters of the Jackson area and helping us inform our voters. We
Thank you
very
very
much
much.
appreciate your availability, and thank you for the information you've shared.
Sounds good. Have a nice evening, ma'am.